The AI companies are pushing a narrative that is suppressing the reliability of real-world AI uses. The narrative is that you can just go and talk to an agent, and that as long as it has all the right tools, you can just go and tell your agent whatever you want it to do, and it'll be able to just figure it out. What they want us to believe is that AI is going to take all of the cognitive work off of our hands for us. And it's a good narrative because sometimes it works. Sometimes you tell it to do a thing and it just does it. But a lot of the time it doesn't, and that lack of reliability is one of the biggest issues in AI today. This poor guy, he has no idea what I want. But the truth is, AI can actually be extremely reliable. And I suspect there's plenty of people who know about this, but nobody's really talking about it. So here's the truth about how to make AI reliable. All right, first it was about prompt engineering. Next, we were talking about context engineering. I'm not going to make up a buzzword for it. I'm just going to tell you what it is. LLMs run on text. They use text to create more text. So as the models become more powerful and more capable, we need better and better ways to organize text. The good news is that humans are really good at this. And we ought to be. We've been doing it for 10,000 years. Not only that, but we have really good methods for organizing large amounts of text and data. It's called the internet. And yet, for some reason, companies are trying to make us believe that the absolute height of human technology can be managed in a chat window. So why do they do this? Why are people asking us to believe that the future of productive work will be typed into a chat window? The answer is because this seems easy. It's because most of the time that we're typing into chat windows, we're doing something that's not work. So we already have this association in our brains that we're chatting just like we do with our friends, that we're not doing real work, so that it just feels easy and the work magically gets done. Versus we come back over here and look at my workflows. Look at this. Look at this document here. This looks like work, like it took work to write this. And you know what? It did. It did take work to write this. And if you're a business person, then this should not be a surprise, because you already know that anything worth doing in life takes real work. But if you're willing to put in that work, if you're willing to treat AI the way that you treat everything else that's worthwhile in life, then the difference in the output that you get is absolutely exponential. And this to me feels like the biggest paradox in AI right now. Because in AI, I feel like you have two things. You have the hype and then you have the truth. The hype is that you can vibe code an entire company and make $100,000 in your first year. The truth is, it's actually a lot more complicated than that. But if you're actually willing to do the work, if you're willing to put in the time to create all of this stuff, then the results that you start getting actually start to look more like the hype. All right, so how do you actually do that? How do you organize your text in a way that gets you parabolic productivity? Well, I've been showing you this whole time while I've been talking. Part of it is to put everything into documents. These can be documents on your computer, or they can be documents in Eidolons.com. But you have to get in the habit of writing documents. Your documents have to be clear and legible and understandable. This format that I'm using here, I use it because AI understands it. I'm very clear about what the inputs need to be, and I go through step by step on exactly what it needs to do. Another thing is I break it down. I make it composable. So here we have a very small, simple workflow. But this small, simple workflow calls other small, simple workflows. This one is slightly less small, but it's still small. Another way to get reliable results is you tell it exactly what you want. You give it examples, you give it templates. AI does extremely well with stuff like this. All right, but it's also about how you actually write the words that you're giving to the AI. And honestly, this to me is the part that feels like the most work, because it's almost like learning another language. Yes, I am speaking in plain English here, but the actual words that I'm using come from practice and experience. Because if you know how to be extremely explicit in your instructions, then the AI will do exactly what you tell it to do. You have to approach it with this assumption that every action that the AI takes is the result of either something that you gave it, something in your prompt, or something in the system prompt, or something in its training. And believe me, this is much easier to say than it is to do, because sometimes these things just do such a terrible job. And hey, look, we got a new proposal. And we just want so badly to pretend that it's the AI's fault and not our own. But look at this, I told it exactly what I wanted, and it gave me exactly that. And this brings us to another pillar of reliability, human oversight. Now this pretend workflow that I just ran actually did such a good job that I don't even need to edit this. but it's good to know that I can if I need to, especially with anything that's public facing. As you get better and better at writing this kind of stuff, you'll be able to hand off more work to your agents without oversight. But you absolutely have to go through that process. You have to have this back and forth of trying to create these workflows, having the agent run them, and fine-tuning your words until they work perfectly every time. And man, this poor guy, I set him up for failure. And of course, I'm just messing around here. I don't actually have anyone to refund. But if I did, I know that I can run this workflow 100 times and get the same result 100 times. I know that because I'm not having the agent try to figure anything out. I'm answering all of its questions going in. I'm telling it what to do in every scenario. Okay, but what if there's a new scenario and it doesn't know how to cover it? Then, well, that's why we have the proposal system. That's why we run it through actually 100 times to make sure that it's going to give us the same result every time. And if something doesn't work, then we change it. We add whatever details are missing. We craft and we shape the language until there is only a single way that all of this can be interpreted. And once you do that, pretty much all of the models are capable of doing very complex work as long as they have this level of clarity. So how do you create reliable AI? You do it by writing everything down, by being meticulously careful with your words, by making the AI's job as easy as possible. You have to think, you want to make this job so clear that even a stupid person could do it. Because if a stupid person can do it, then AI will be able to do it. And you know, one last comment. Working with AI on this level will actually make you a better communicator overall. Because you see, when you communicate with the people that you communicate on a day-to-day basis, you don't always realize all of the bits of shared context that you have between each other, right? Like I have a comment in my refund workflow here. I say, if the user approved the refund, perform the refund by using your Shopify tools. Okay, cool. Then I have this here. It says, otherwise don't. Now I just want you to think, how ridiculous is this comment here? Pretty much any human would be able to imply that if I put this condition here and we don't meet that condition, then it absolutely should not do this. But with AI, you can't make those kinds of assumptions, right? Because a lot of the time we have to fight against the training. And a lot of the training is stuff like teaching the AI to do the thing, whatever the thing is, because you succeed by doing the thing. It's not always obvious to AI that sometimes you don't have to do the thing, right? These AIs are so eager to please us that a lot of the time they think that just doing a thing is what we want. And because of that, we have to cover all of our logical bases. We have to tell it not only what to do in the case of the condition here, but also what not to do. If you found any of this helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and I'll keep teaching more of my secrets. That's it for today. Hope you learned something, and I will see you next time.